Okay, I might be getting ahead of myself, but like, I think AX actually listened.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey, Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about AX, or Anime Expo, all right? 2024. Now, before anyone starts jumping down my throat, they're like, what are you talking about? Anime Expo listened for some things. I don't think they listened to me. Not at all. I think they listened to the general consensus from people and their complaints from last year and 2022's Anime Expo. What is Anime Expo? Anime Expo is a 4-day convention for all things anime. It's a big convention. There's panels, there's an exhibit hall, there's an artist alley, there's an entertainment hall, okay? They've got it all. Last year I went for the first time and I had a very good time. It was insane. They had a lot of overcrowding issues. The oxygen, I think, in the artist alley and the annex was not great, all right? And then I can't remember what else it was. I went to a Butler Cafe last year. You know, I went to some panels, all this stuff. I just had a 4-day pass last year, all right? Now, I don't know if you noticed, I also have a 4-day pass this year. We did try. I don't know if this is real or not. This could be all in our heads. There is a possibility that AX is not super happy with my video from last year. What can I say? I'm just pissing off everyone this year. This also could just be nothing, frankly. But basically, my friend recommended that I apply for a press pass this year. So we tried to do that. They said, no, you actually qualify for an industry pass. So we were like, oh, okay. So we applied for the industry pass at their recommendation. Me and my assistant. My assistant was the one in contact with them, going back and forth for a while about, hey, any update on this, any update on this, any update on this. And they just kind of kept being like, no, but like the registration date is this day, so you should know before then. That date passes, we follow up again, like, hey, what's the deal? And they say, oh, well, you didn't get it, so it must not have gone through because the registration date was that day. So at our friend's request, they were like, that's ridiculous. You should follow up with them because what do you mean they just didn't give you an answer? After the fact, said that they had sent me an offer for an industry badge in May, and then I never replied, and now it was too late for me to reply. So I'm like, oh my gosh, did I mess up? I go through all of my emails. I go through my spam folder. I go through my personal email even to make sure they didn't have the wrong email. So did my assistant. My assistant went through everything, went through their assistant email as well. We had nothing. And so we were like, hey, what is this? And they were just like, we sent it and won't show the email that they allegedly sent or whatever. So it's like, you know what? Whatever, no industry badge for me. Could be nothing because again, it's like, okay, so you acknowledge that you were going to send me one, but now you just won't because of a deadline. And my friend is like, that makes no fucking sense. It is what it is. If I got you that upset, that is very funny. And when I told my manager this, I was like, oh, what are they gonna do when they see that I'm still there? Because my friend had a 4-day badge. Because to get blocks of rooms in Anime Expo, you have to buy a 4-day badge to get access to that block of room. Gave me the 4-day pass. And I was like, what happens if they see me there? And my manager was like, do you know how great it would be if they kicked you out? That's how I know I have a good management. Swell's banned summer 2024. Anyways, I went anyways with a 4-day badge. Why do you want an industry instead of a 4-day? 4-day gets you in that insane line. Industry at least has a second line. You don't really get in early, but you don't have to sit in that line. So this year though, it seems like industry, they let in a bunch of people early. I don't know what was going on there, okay? But there was the line system this year as well. I went morning of, I had stuff to do, so I didn't get over there until about 8:30. 9 is when they opened everything up this year. Last year, I believe it was 10, where they would start letting people in at 9, and then they would let people in the actual convention hall and all of that at 10. This year, they didn't really do it that way. They just said everything opened at 9. Honestly, smarter, because that is typically where the issue would be, was the letting people in, and then the flow of traffic is halted because they won't let us go into the halls to deal with the overflow. And that's where you see some of these insane images of the rush of people coming out of AX. This year, they didn't really deal with that. They just kind of let us all in. Now, there was a lot of people. I don't want to negate that. However, we thought something was weird because the night before the first day of AX, they had tweeted out that they had officially sold out at 6 o'clock on the dot, which means it was probably a scheduled tweet. Now, that doesn't mean that is inaccurate, but also I was under the impression that they typically sell out of 4-day passes at the very least far in advance, like at least a week or so. So the fact that they sold out right before I thought was odd. I don't think it's because they capped it or anything. I think they had trouble selling tickets this year. This is all alleged, okay? They allegedly, maybe, possibly had trouble selling tickets. I don't know. The thing with AX as well is that this is one of, if not the biggest anime conventions in the West Coast. I don't want to say the country, but on the West Coast, at least in my opinion. As far as I'm aware, no one jumped down my throat when they're like, well, wait a minute. I don't know. chill. But last year, with a lot of the issues that there was with the overcrowding and, things selling out and things like that, there's a likelihood that people were like, this is not worth the stress and the cost, so I'm not going to go. But then also we need to look at the reality that the economy has not gotten better. Things are bad. People don't have a lot of disposable income. And again, for a lot of people, if you're not local to Southern California, this is a very big commitment for attendance, cost of travel, cost of booking a hotel room, etc. There's always that. There could be a variety of reasons as to why they might be lower capacity this year, but I don't think it was they capped tickets personally. They may have, and then they still sold out like the night before. I don't think that's likely, but is what it is. I got in line, later than I normally did. I think last year I got in line at 6:30 a.m. This year I got in line at 8:30 because I was just I wasn't going to do a video. I know I always say that, but I'm making a video solely because I'm wait, they did change things. They listened to someone. Do I think it was me? No. I think they listened to the general complaints of the public, though, to some capacity. This year, Anarchy, Chris and I decided that our goal first day was going to be, let's go buy the things that we want to buy first day, okay? Anything that we had been thinking about from last year or that we had heard about online prior to it, we decided we were just going to go ahead and do it that first day because everything that we wanted last year by the second day, third day had sold out. So we decided, you know what? We got in and then I immediately booked it down to Artist Alley. So I'm down in the Artist Alley and this year this feels way different. They utilize the space better. I think they cranked up the AC, which is great because it was hard to breathe in here last year. And they moved the 18 and up section down here, which is very different than last year. And there's a lot of booths that were upstairs last year. They're now down here. So Anarchy, Chris and I were what's upstairs? So we're going to check that out a little bit, but I'm going to go into the Artist Alley, so no photos. It's crowded, but it's not as crowded as last year. Last year, I was literally I couldn't breathe to the point that last year I thought I had COVID that first day because there was so poor oxygen in that long hallway between the entertainment hall and the convention hall, the expo hall itself, that I genuinely was having trouble breathing. And I thought I had spontaneously developed COVID. Okay. And so I was oh, this is not good. I didn't. I was fine. It's one of those things where it I hadn't last year, but it was just when you're short, it's much easier to get sucked up in the CO2 output of people because you're shorter than the average person. This year, not that bad. Also, this hallway that I'm literally talking about, this was great this year. They put in dividers. They had literal line dividers down the middle. So it was all one way each side of the divider. Brilliant. You listened to something. How? Who? I don't know. Whoever did this, brilliant. You deserve kisses on the mouth, okay? If you want that. They stayed up the whole time. They worked incredibly well. There was breaks in it, so if you needed to go to the bathroom or cross over or change your direction, whatever, you could do it totally. But for the most part, this was fairly much a followed. So great. That hallway is usually hell. So to make it so that it's a two-direction lanes, essentially. Fantastic. Brilliant. Great change. That's the main thing where I'm they listened to something. I'm giving them credit for the lacquer attendance. I'm assuming they wanted more people there, but whatever. And then this year, downstairs in the Arts Alley, it's Kentia Hall, I believe it's called. There used to be something called the Annex, which was a chunk of Kentia Hall that was a little more spread out, a little more booth space for people. And it was a lot of clothing. I think a lot of the fashion show people were involved in that section last year. This year, they didn't have the Annex. So it was all technically considered the Artist Alley. But what we thought was super weird was that there was a lot of booths that we recognized from last year's Expo Hall floor that had massive booths that were downstairs in this area now. And we were this feels weird. Because what do you mean? It felt weird because I'm these are massive companies. These are massive brands in some capacity that had massive booths last year that just this year were downstairs in a different spot or had smaller booths. And I was oh, that's not good. Now, I did hear a couple of different reasons as to why this is happening. The number one that I'm always going to believe is the underlying cause for a lot of things is that the economy is just not what we think it is right now. It's not doing well. And that includes top to bottom, small businesses especially. Whether it's a well-known small business or otherwise, a lot of people people are struggling, and these booths get expensive, okay? And they are only getting more expensive. I don't know if they raised costs this year for the Artist Alley space or what have you, but I know of at least one booth area cost we'll talk about in a second.
So I'm in the entertainment hall, and this is one of the, like, against the back wall, but there's all these curtains here. And if I did not just wander over here, I would not have found this. This is kind of bad placement for people over here.
Last year, there was a lot of theft from the expo hall floor. A couple of booths, I don't know if it was these companies in particular that moved down into the Artist Alley, but quite a few of them had literally had their storerooms of their booths in the expo hall broken into in the middle of the night, and stuff was gone through and taken. I don't know what the actual loss cost is. I'm sure some of these artists have spoken about it publicly, okay? But that was an issue that I had complaints about last year as well, because I was like, they are paying for a booth space. The least you can do is have security monitoring that area, even if the expo hall is closed. I know that Artist Alley last year did have theft as well. With Artist Alleys, unfortunately, it is something that is pretty common, is people just walking by and swiping stuff. But I believe there was also people who had stuff stolen from their booths in Artist Alley last year as well. Again, security. And if it's security stealing stuff, fire people. But I also heard a couple of rumors and people just openly saying, hey, they sold my spot that they usually have in the expo area. They were told that their spot had been sold to someone else, whether it's because they raised the cost or they gave them two costs and the person who gave them more cost is the one that got it. I don't know. But a lot of people had their booths literally like sold out from under them, it seems, that they normally get. So they had no choice but to go down into the Artist Alley space down in Kentia Hall. I don't know if they made the booths any wider this year. I wish I had measured. I'm going to start bringing a measuring tape to convention because I want to know if it was made a little wider this year. I think they may have, but it also could be literally exactly the same. For the actual Artist Alleys themselves, not this small chunk at the front that had a much different size booths, more square booths than like the actual Artist Alley itself. Oh, they also moved the 18 and up section down here as well. Last year, I believe they had meet and greet sections down there. Instead, they put Artist Alleys down there. I don't think I ever actually saw the meet and greet sections. I don't know if they moved them this year. I'm assuming it was in various rooms and things like that, but the 18 and up section was down there. I go in. I always go in. I'm glad I went in because Anarchy and Chris were like, you need to cosplay as Velma. Oh my God. And then I went in and there was this giant lewd Velma thing. And I was like, oh, thank God I didn't cosplay as Velma. That would have been fun. Also, you guys are always so funny when you see me in the 18 and up section. I'm 26 years old. It's usually the guys that are like, oh my God, I didn't expect to see you in here. It's usually that. Y'all, I'm an adult. I don't know what to tell you. Listen, I know I'm not out here with my tits out, okay? But I am an adult woman. That was with 18 and up section. But the Artist Alley, the flow of traffic was not as clear cut. I don't know. Why can't we do tape? Why can't we do something? I know with cosplays, it's difficult because you can't always look down. There's a lot of variations and all of that make it so that you can't look down and see the direction flow of tape. But even just security guards trying to guard the flow of traffic because I don't know. With love and respect. Anime fans have some of the worst spatial awareness I think I've ever seen in my life. There's a couple of people, anyone at an airport and then anime fans at a convention, because y'all just stop. Y'all just block people. It's true. It's fascinating. It's wild. Or it's just like, excuse me, and like moving, like aggressive, aware of the space. With love, it's a lot. Because of that, you have to have people that are directing the flow of traffic, especially in the Artist Alley, and then also making sure that like lines are forming in a way that makes sense and things like that. I do know that there is a artist that got written up by our Anime Expo because they warned, hey, I am a popular artist. I'm going to have a line. I'm really worried about that line. What can we do to like work on that? And they were like, deal with it. It's your problem. And then when there was a line, they gave them a write-up because they weren't trying hard enough to deal with the line. It's like, it did get crowded in Artist Alleys. And it's like, there would usually be times where I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going down a first chunk because that's a nightmare. And like Clockwork Anarchy, the first day, we went to the Artist Alley, got our stuff, went upstairs, started wandering around a little bit. We bumped into Illymation, and it was Illy's first year at Anime Expo. And Anarchy was like, yeah, last year it was really bad. This is not that bad. Like, I can breathe no problem. Within 3 minutes, we couldn't move an inch in the expo hall floor. Anarchy, you jinxed us. It's like, oh yeah, we're moving super easily. She's like, shut up. It was like that. It's a convention. It was the first day. The first day was insane. I wish that instead of Artist Alley, instead of the 18 and up down there, they had expanded the Artist Alley further over and wrapped it around a bit more to give people more space between aisles. I do think that would make it a lot easier for the crowding in situations. But the reality is, it's like if you give more space, people are just going to fill that space. So I don't know. Didn't really go to a ton of panels this year. Nothing really intrigued me. There was a few that I wanted to go to, and all of them got canceled. There was one, like getting started in voice acting the first day, that I really wanted to go to, and it got canceled. All right. Oh, I should also know, I applied to be a model in the fashion show this year because I thought that would be a fun video for you guys. I tried being a model in the Eggs fashion show so you don't have to. And so I applied. So did Chris. Chris is a model. He has done modeling. So he understandably got approved immediately. I never got approved, and then I never even got denied. They just never answered me for the most part. I got the emails being like, hey, your application was received. Da, 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 da. Anarchy's convinced that if I had applied under literally any other name, I was like, because I'm 5'2" and 135 pounds, I'm not exactly a model standard, okay? There's always various sizes and various, heights and things like that in the fashion show. So I was like, this might be fun. This might be something. Only gets you like 1 day ticket to AX, okay? If you are a part of the fashion show, and then you commit to a couple of things. So I was like, this could be a fun video idea. I don't think I've ever seen anyone really like review the experience solely around the fashion show. That could be a fun video. And Anarchy's like, I do think if you just applied under a different name, they would have accepted you. Totally cool if it wasn't even that. It was just like, you don't fit the vibe. Totally cool. Just saying, I'm like, I would have been nice. And then Chris got accepted, and he just was like, no, I don't want to do it if Amanda doesn't do it. So he just didn't do it. I was like, Chris. But you know what? That's a friend.
This is essentially how I flew when we went to Japan.
I'm flying to Japan.
We're in the A&A booth.
I'm sorry, do you have a ticket to be here? Are you first class? No.
Wow.
No, get out.
A lot of the attendees that I spoke to said that this was much better than last year, or that this was their first year, and that they were like fully scared coming because they were like, you guys had me thinking I was going to be fighting for my life. This is not that bad. There's plenty of room to move, etc. Certain sections were more difficult than others at various times. But do I think it was ever as bad as it was in its entirety last year? No. Were there sections that were very bad throughout the convention? Yes, Artist Alley is one of them. The front hall was way more difficult to get in than it was last year. Something they had this year as well is they shut down the parking lot outside of the convention hall and turned that into like an outdoor little food market with a bunch of foods, pop-ups and all of that. They had Dongo. I had it 5 times. Let's go. Okay, fantastic. Then they sold out Saturday, and I was really sad. And then at Sunday, I was like, no, I'm going to be good. I'm not going to get Dongo again, so I didn't. I miss you, Dongo. They had a lot of options. Some seating areas, not enough, in my opinion. Always going to be my opinion is that there's not enough seating. I do think you probably could have expanded that seating by at least a good 10 feet, but you're obviously limited by the size of the tent that you got. But it was also, God, it was so hot. It got up to 98. 99 in LA this weekend, and it was just miserable. It was not fun at all. They have water stations set up throughout the con. Great, lovely, always love that, especially in the summertime. They also still had the outdoor areas where they had like the smaller booths and things like that that they typically have, which is good.
Guys, there's an unattended baby at Anime Expo. Oh my God. We need to find her parents right now.
You need to find her dad. We need to find her dad.
Let's talk about some of the complaints that I've been seeing from vendors this year. None of the vendors that usually know me or talk to me said anything like this, but it's vendors who have been very public about their complaints this year. Wooji. Edward Wooji is a guy who owns the shop Wooji, and he was actually someone that I tried to buy something from last year at AX that I ended up buying this year because it sold out last year. And it was a car t-shirt that I'm going to turn into a dress, frankly, because it's just like, I don't like the cut. Personally, on me, it's like a button up with a bunch of cars on it. It's cool. I'm going to turn it into a dress. I got an extra large. I'm going to turn it into a dress. It's going to be cool. He sold at AX last year and then sold this year as well. And then started talking about how the placement of his booth and how much it costs and how detrimental he thinks it's going to be to his numbers this year. Last year, he was in the annex area downstairs near the Artist Alley. And this year he was up in a row of booths that were on the main hall. Like when you enter into the atrium area, I guess, the entryway of the convention center. And then off to the side, so like you walk in, and then you can go left or right. Okay, to the left, there's also the escalator that brings you down into Kentia Hall, that brings you down into the Artist Alley. Back up against this wall here is a row of booths. Now, because I'm me, I wander everywhere, so I try and find things. But it's not an intuitive spot for most people, especially if you're just going to the artist alley. You could walk right by this and never see it. Now, the draw for them this year is they had a giant capybara right in front of their booth, so I was like, ooh, that's fun. And then I saw the shirts that I wanted. I was like, oh, yay, fantastic. I'm buying this right now. But that section, apparently, that booth cost was $25,000. That's a lot of money. So obviously you need to make at least $25,000. I disagree with my statement. I mean, that's at least what you have to make, but you also have to add in, cost of product, cost of shipping product, possibly cost of paying the people that are working in your booth. He had several people working there, cost of potentially flying them out, cost of, putting them up in hotels, which have you. There's a lot of costs that go into an event like this. So I think it's probably closer to $35,000, probably $40,000 in cost. Now everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, that's so much money. That is very doable at a convention like this with the amount of people that come through AX. My shirt that I bought from them was $80, okay, but they also have plushies, a variety of shirts and things like that. He talks about basically, in a couple of the exhibitors that I've now chimed in on his posts and things like that, are talking about how the setup is very different. Like I said, a lot of the booths that were upstairs before were now downstairs. Gamer subs? Hi, you guys are my goats. Use code SWELL for 10% off, all right? Why was your booth so small at Anime Expo? That alone, I almost messaged my contact and was like, are you guys good? I want a waifu cup. The layout, for the most part, was definitely weird in a sense where it was like, there was more showcasey at the front than I would say it was last year. Even the side booths were more showcasey, but then there was also still booths that you could sell things. But a lot of stuff sold out I feel like things sold out more aggressively than they did last year. I'm assuming it's because people, once again, wanted to not lose out on things that they lost out on last year. So there was a lot more of a frenzy for buying stuff this year, because there were things that we were like not looking for the first day, but we found and we were like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I went back like a day or so later to be like, you know what? I slept on it. That was cool. I want it. Sold out. I waited on the Racing Miku stuff. So much of it sold out. A lot of stuff sold out. A lot of the big name stuff sold out. A lot of small name stuff sold out. There was this manga versions of like classic literature where I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, okay, I'll come back later. Because I collect copies of Dracula and Frankenstein. That's my English major coming through. And they had manga versions of Dracula and Frankenstein and most of Jane Austen's works. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I was at least going to go back and get the Dracula and Frankenstein. And then I thought about going back and getting, the Jane Austen versions as well. I go back and they're all gone. Every single one of them. They had a good 20 different manga versions of classic literature. They had 3 of those books left by the time I went back. Like there was a lot of things like that where things were just selling out left, right, and center, which is interesting because it's like people have money, but they don't have money unless it's like, where it's like, oh, I don't want to go to this thing, but I'm going to spend money on stuff. Like it could be that. Like I know there's probably a whole breakdown here about like debt maxing and like, going down with the ship, so you might as well have a margarita, things like that. There's probably a deeper conversation about the state of the economy in the US right now. It was interesting to see what companies have money and which companies don't. This was a game I was playing with Scootish for the most part when we were walking around, like, oh, which production companies for animes have money and who doesn't, based on whoever is making Blue Lock has money. The Blue Lock had like multiple booths. There was another anime that I'm blanking on the name of. They also had multiple booths in different sections, which I thought was weird. Massive booths too. Everything Hollow Live has money. There's just various companies where you're like, oh yes, you have some coin to spend on marketing right now. A few of the booths where I was like, oh, this would be fun, but I don't want to wait in this line, because it's line con still. The layout's different, but then it's like, oh, well, there's no line. It's because everything's gone. It's a lot of that. Entertainment hall. I really like the Hulu castle that they do for Animehem. It's so cool. I wish you guys did more with it. I don't know what you would do with it, but I want you to do more with it because the castle is cool. Oh, a lot of the panels, they changed the paneling lineup system. So I did end up going to the fashion show this year. It was very cool. It's my first time actually attending the fashion show as well. They had a theme this year, which they apparently always do. Did not know that. But the line outside was hot, but it was covered, but it was a long line outside and it was very hot.
We're in line for the fashion show and they keep pushing back when they're going to let us in. And then they went on the announcers to let us know that someone is selling waters. So it is 12:02 currently, and it says it's 80 degrees outside, which I think is a lie. It's hot.
A bunch of the lines outside, for a lot of the panels, they queue you outside to deal with the crowding in the hallways. No one I heard of passed out. Great, fantastic. Don't really know how to fix it, you know, at the end of the day, because it's like, unless you are dedicating rooms to line holding, it's kind of useless, you know? It's kind of something that can't really be done. The food situation, great, expensive. I remember when I was a kid, food trucks used to be affordable. Pop-ups used to be affordable. That's not me being a boomer. Like, these things used to be more affordable. And I don't know if it's because, like, I now live in LA, but then OC is the same way. Like, anytime I go somewhere and there's a food truck, I'm like, why is this $20 for something? It's getting out of hand.
Thank you. You know they're having trouble selling stuff at Anime Expo when they think communal soup is the best option. Communal soup for a taste test is crazy.
A couple of animes. Kaiju 8. I want to watch that now because I love that character design. I really hadn't seen much of it other than that. Blue Lock, I want to know what the deal is because like you guys had the giant billboard on the side of the building as well. I never would have guessed that that was a soccer anime if I hadn't seen the word team written on their shirts because their like eyes are glowing and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is like a magic thing. They've got powers. No, it's soccer. I don't know if it's that serious, but I'll go watch it. I'll go check it out. I need to watch Haiku. I know I haven't still. I need to watch it. When I knew I needed to watch it when I went to Japan because I was like, oh my God, you guys love Haiku out here. There was a lot of Haiku stuff when I was in Japan. I heard a lot more complaints from vendors on social media and things like that. I didn't hear anything about the mass theft this year, which is great. So something was done right there. But there has in fact been a lot of complaints about theft, but it was mostly like in their vans outside, a few instances inside, but nothing near the amount that there was last year, in my opinion. It was just a lot of that. Like just slow traffic being different, better for attendees, but worse for vendors and artists and things like that. I don't know how to fix the artist alley downstairs, honestly, aside from expanding out that area maybe, and then just blasting the AC in there, having air purifiers maybe. I don't know. Probably going to be it for this video. All in all, choices were made that were better. Were they better for the attendees? Yes. Were they better for the exhibitors? It doesn't sound like it. I do think this is another example of like, no one has money. Everyone is struggling financially. We're all doomed in the entertainment industry, which is super fun and exciting. Cosplays were always cool. You guys do some great cosplays. Met a lot of you guys. My audience is a lot of weebs. What's up? You guys are fun. Eventually, at some point, I will probably have to start cosplaying just to hide my face more so I can go about events, you know, with like some form of anonymity so I don't get stopped as much because it's hard when I'm trying to like gather intel, you know, from like playing dumb or something. And then you're like, oh my God, Swell. That's really going to be it though. Did you go to AX? Did you go to AX last year? Did you not go to AX this year and there was a reason for it? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder that I stream on Twitch. Reminder that Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to use code SWELL for 10% off GamerSups. So you guys know if we get to a certain point of like people using my code, then I get a waifu cup. So I don't know. I want my waifu cup to literally just look like me, except massive honkers. I think that would be really, really fun. Anyways, that's going to be it. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. If you'd also like to support me on Patreon, that was down below. If you'd like to follow me on social media, that'll be up here. And that's good. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Also, Scootish wants to know why so many hot women watch my content. He wants to know why.
Thank you, Oz, Eva, Ayana, Abby, Angel, Goth, Glyn, Palace, Pink, Jasmine, Lauren, Amy, Aslan, Medic, Rosie, Victor, Andrew, Tenzin, Sam, Mae West, Michael, Ryan, Adira, Nathan, Zwink, Literal, Jeffrey, Randy, QWERTY, Nomad, Thomas, Tasha, Donnie, Winter, Kenny, Robert, Cameron, Elliott.